Greetings, dear reader. Close your eyes for a moment and take a deep breath. Feel the air fill your lungs, then release it slowly. Inhale, exhale. In this simple act, you are already on the path to something profound. You are stepping into the vast, uncharted landscape of your own mind, a place that holds both chaos and clarity, turbulence and tranquility. But how do you navigate this terrain? How do you befriend your own thoughts instead of wrestling with them? How do you sit still in the presence of your fears and anxieties and learn to embrace them rather than flee from them? This is where the journey of meditation begins. In How to Meditate, a practical guide to making friends with your mind, Pema Chödrön, a revered Buddhist nun and teacher, invites us to discover a practice that is both ancient and deeply relevant to our modern lives. Meditation is not about achieving some lofty, enlightened state or silencing our minds entirely. Instead, it is about learning to be present with whatever arises. It is about developing an intimate and compassionate relationship with our own being. Perhaps you've tried to meditate before. Perhaps you've felt the frustration of a restless mind, the impatience of sitting still, the creeping doubt that tells you, "This isn't for me." But what if meditation isn't about doing it perfectly? What if it's not about controlling your thoughts, but about getting to know them? What if it's about meeting yourself with kindness, curiosity, and even humor? Pema Chödrön teaches us that meditation is a practice of radical acceptance. It is an invitation to step into the present moment and simply be with what is. No judgment, no striving, just being. And in that simple act, transformation begins. As we sit with our breath, our thoughts, and our emotions, we begin to soften. We begin to see ourselves more clearly. We begin to cultivate the deep inner peace that has always been within us, waiting to be uncovered. So, I ask you, are you ready to embark on this journey? Are you ready to sit, breathe, and befriend the one person who will always be with you, yourself? If so, let's begin. Let's turn the page and step into the wisdom, warmth, and profound guidance of Pema Chödrön. Let's learn how to meditate, not as a task, but as a way of coming home to ourselves. Part 1: Summary of How to Meditate, a practical guide to making friends with your mind by Pema Chödrön. Introduction: The journey inward. Dear reader, seekers of wisdom, adventurers of the mind, let's embark on a journey not outward into the world, but inward, to the very core of our being. In How to Meditate, a practical guide to making friends with your mind, the renowned Buddhist teacher Pema Chödrön offers us more than just a manual on meditation. She extends an invitation to sit with ourselves, to observe, to accept, and ultimately, to transform. What does it mean to meditate? Is it about silencing the mind, escaping the chaos of life, or achieving some mystical state of enlightenment? No. Pema Chödrön shatters these misconceptions and reveals meditation for what it truly is: a practice of presence, a way to befriend our own minds, and a path to embracing life just as it is: messy, beautiful, painful, and profound. Chapter 1: Preparing for the Path. The attitude of meditation. Before we even take our seat, we must examine our approach. Meditation is not about perfection. It is not about getting it right or attaining an ideal state of mind. Instead, Pema Chödrön teaches us that meditation begins with an attitude of openness, an openness to whatever arises within us. She urges us to let go of expectations. Too often, we sit down to meditate hoping for peace, clarity, or bliss. But the mind does not work on command. Instead, it reveals its true nature, sometimes restless, sometimes tranquil, sometimes stormy. And that is precisely the point. Meditation is about welcoming whatever appears. It is about making space for everything: the good, the bad, the ugly. She introduces us to the key concept of gentleness, an approach that is both firm and kind. We are not here to battle our thoughts or judge ourselves for wandering. We are here to witness, to observe the dance of the mind with curiosity and compassion. Chapter 2. Taking your seat, posture as a gateway to presence. Now, we come to the physical foundation of meditation, posture. Chödrön reminds us that the way we hold our bodies influences the way we hold our minds. A tense body leads to a tense mind, while a balanced, open posture fosters clarity and ease. She describes the classic meditation posture, not as a rigid stance but as a symbol of our intent. Sitting with a straight back, shoulders relaxed, hands resting gently, this posture is not about physical endurance. It is about embodying wakefulness. It is a reminder that we are here, fully present, fully alive. For those who cannot sit cross-legged, she offers alternatives: a chair, a cushion, even lying down if needed. The external form is not as important as the inner quality of alertness. She teaches us that posture is a reflection of how we meet life itself, with dignity, stability, and presence. Chapter 3. The breath, a home base for the mind. Ah, the breath. The simplest, most profound anchor. In a world that pulls us in 1,000 directions, Pema Chödrön directs us back to the most fundamental rhythm of life, our own breathing. The breath is not forced. It is not controlled. It is simply observed. She explains that by paying attention to the natural flow of inhalation and exhalation, we create a home base for the mind. When thoughts wander, and they will wander, we gently return to the breath. Not with frustration, not with judgment, but with a quiet, steady return. Here, Chödrön dispels a great myth. Wandering thoughts are not a failure. The moment we notice that the mind has drifted and we return to the breath, that is the very essence of meditation. That is the practice. Every return is an act of awareness, a strengthening of our ability to be present. She invites us to develop a soft focus on the breath, like watching waves on the shore, natural, flowing, ever-changing. This simple yet profound practice trains the mind to rest in the present moment, rather than chasing after past regrets or future anxieties. Chapter 4. Thoughts, meeting the wild mind with compassion. Now, we arrive at the heart of meditation, the mind itself. If you have ever sat down to meditate and found your thoughts running wild, congratulations! You are human. Pema Chödrön reassures us that meditation is not about stopping thoughts. It is about changing our relationship to them. The mind is like the sky, and thoughts are like passing clouds. Some are light and wispy, some are dark and stormy, but none of them define the sky itself. She introduces the practice of labeling thoughts. Instead of getting lost in thinking, we simply note, thinking. That's it. No judgment, no resistance, just the gentle recognition of mental activity. Thinking. And then we return to the breath. This chapter is revolutionary because it teaches us that our thoughts are not the enemy. They are not obstacles to meditation. They are part of meditation. By observing them without attachment, we begin to see their transient nature. We realize that just as a thought appears, it also fades. We learn to stop grasping, stop clinging. We learn to let go. Chapter 5. Emotions sitting with the storm. But what about emotions? What about the powerful surges of fear, anger, sadness, or joy that arise within us? Surely, meditation should help us push them away, right? Wrong. Pema Chödrön teaches us that emotions are energy in motion. To resist them is to create suffering. Instead, she encourages us to sit with them, to allow them, to feel their full intensity without running away or acting on impulse. She introduces the concept of leaning into emotions. Instead of shrinking from discomfort, we breathe into it. We explore where it lives in the body. We watch it, observe its ebb and flow. And through this radical act of presence, we discover something astonishing. Emotions, no matter how powerful, are impermanent. By sitting with our emotions rather than reacting to them, we cultivate emotional resilience. We learn that we are bigger than any single feeling. We learn that pain and joy, sorrow and love, all are part of the great tapestry of being human. Conclusion: the power of simply being. And so, my friends, we come to the great realization of part 1. Meditation is not an escape. It is not about achieving some perfect state of mind. It is about waking up to life exactly as it is. Pema Chödrön does not promise a quick fix. She does not offer instant enlightenment. What she offers is a path, a way of being with ourselves that is gentle, honest, and transformative. In these first chapters, we have learned the attitude of meditation, openness and gentleness. We have discovered the foundation, posture and breath. We have explored the mind, thoughts and emotions. And most importantly, we have begun the profound journey of befriending ourselves. Stay with me, for this is only the beginning. Part 2 will take us deeper into obstacles, fears, and the boundless freedom that comes when we truly embrace the present moment. But for now, let us sit. Let us breathe. Let us begin. Part 2 Summary. Introduction: the challenges of meditation, turning obstacles into teachers. My friends, we have set our foundation. We have taken our seat, breathed deeply, and begun to observe the wild landscape of our minds. But as any seasoned traveler knows, the path is rarely smooth. There are obstacles, roadblocks, distractions, and moments of doubt. And yet, these very challenges hold the key to deepening our practice. In part 2 of How to Meditate, Pema Chödrön leads us through the difficulties we inevitably face in meditation and, indeed, in life. She does not teach us how to eliminate them, nor does she promise that they will disappear. Instead, she shows us how to work with them, learn from them, even befriend them. Because the very things we perceive as obstacles, restlessness, doubt, boredom, fear, are actually our greatest teachers. So, let us continue, not with frustration, but with curiosity, not with resistance, but with openness. Let us meet these challenges as warriors of the mind, courageous, steady, and kind. Chapter 6: Restlessness and Boredom, Staying When You Want to Run. Restlessness. That deep urge to move, to fidget, to do anything other than just sit. The itch in the leg, the sudden need to adjust, the thought that whispers, "This is a waste of time." Pema Chödrön tells us something radical. This discomfort is not the enemy. It is the practice. Restlessness is the mind's way of resisting stillness. It is afraid of what it might find in silence. But here is the secret: if we stay with it, if we do not flinch or react, it loses its grip. She introduces a powerful technique: curiosity. Instead of labeling restlessness as bad, we investigate it. Where do I feel this tension? What does it actually feel like? By turning our awareness toward it, we transform it. And boredom? That creeping sense of this is pointless? She reminds us that boredom is simply a refusal to be present. It is not that meditation is boring, it is that we are resisting fully engaging with the moment. If we lean into boredom, we find something surprising. Beneath it lies clarity, spaciousness, and peace. Chapter 7: Working with Physical Pain, Listening to the Body. Pain. An unavoidable companion in meditation and in life. Whether it is a sore back, an aching knee, or chronic pain that seems unrelenting, it challenges our ability to sit still. But Pema Chödrön does not teach us to suppress pain or ignore it. Instead, she invites us to listen to it. She describes a technique called breathing into the pain. Instead of tensing up, we direct our breath toward the discomfort. We soften around it. We allow it to be there, without fighting it. Sometimes, this simple shift changes everything. Pain that we thought was unbearable becomes manageable. And even more importantly, we begin to see that suffering is not just the pain itself, it is our resistance to it. She reminds us that in meditation, just as in life, we cannot control everything. but we can control our relationship to our experience. We can meet pain with awareness rather than fear. Chapter 8: Fear and Anxiety, Sitting with the Unknown. Now, my friends, we come to one of the greatest obstacles of all: fear. That heavy sensation in the chest, the tight grip of anxiety, the racing mind that imagines 1,000 disasters. Pema Chödrön offers us a powerful insight. Fear is not something to be conquered. It is something to be embraced. We are taught to run from fear, to push it away, to distract ourselves. But what if, instead of running, we turn toward it? What if we sat with our fear, as if it were an old friend? She introduces a practice called leaning into fear. When anxiety arises, instead of shrinking away, we pause. We breathe. We explore it. What does this fear feel like? Where is it in the body? What happens if I don't resist it? And something extraordinary happens. The fear, once overwhelming, begins to lose its power. Not because it disappears, but because we are no longer enslaved by it. We realize that we are not our fear. We are the vast awareness that holds it. This chapter is a turning point. It teaches us that meditation is not about escaping discomfort. It is about learning to live courageously with what is. Chapter 9: The Monkey Mind, Dealing with Endless Thoughts. Now, let us address an obstacle we all face: the monkey mind. The ceaseless chatter of thoughts. The mind that jumps from one thing to another like a restless monkey swinging from tree to tree. Pema Chödrön reminds us of a fundamental truth. Thinking is not a mistake. Thoughts are not a sign that we are failing at meditation. They are simply what the mind does. She introduces the practice of noting thoughts. When a thought arises, we do not engage with it or push it away. Instead, we simply label it thinking, and then we return to the breath. She compares thoughts to clouds in the sky. They come and go, but they are not the sky itself. And we are the sky. With this practice, we begin to see that we do not have to be ruled by every thought that arises. We can watch them without getting caught in them. We become the observer, not the prisoner. Chapter 10: The Space Beyond Obstacles, Discovering Natural Awareness. After wrestling with restlessness, pain, fear, and thoughts, something remarkable begins to happen. We start to glimpse a deeper awareness, one that is always present beneath the noise. This is what Pema Chödrön calls natural awareness. It is not something we create. It is something we uncover. She describes moments when the mind suddenly settles, when everything feels spacious, open, effortless. These moments may be brief, but they are profound. They show us that peace is not something we achieve. It is something that was always there, waiting for us to notice. She encourages us to trust this natural awareness, to recognize that no matter how chaotic life feels, this spaciousness is always available to us. Meditation does not manufacture peace. It reveals the peace that is already within us. Conclusion: the courage to continue. And so, my fellow travelers, we reach the heart of this journey. Meditation is not about perfection. It is about practice. It is about showing up again and again, even when it is difficult, even when it feels pointless, even when we would rather do anything else. Because every time we sit, every time we breathe, every time we stay with ourselves instead of running away, we are transforming. We are learning to meet life with openness. We are learning to embrace ourselves exactly as we are. We are learning that the mind, no matter how restless or troubled, can always return home. But this is not the end. There is still more to discover, deeper layers to explore. In Part 3, we will delve into the heart of meditation, compassion, loving-kindness, and the ultimate freedom of letting go. Stay with me. The journey continues. Part 3 Summary. Introduction. The heart of meditation, compassion, loving-kindness, and letting go. My friends, we have walked a profound path together. We have taken our seat in meditation, face the storms of our minds, and learn to stay present with restlessness, pain, and fear. And now, we arrive at the heart of the journey, the essence of what makes meditation truly transformative. Meditation is not just about sitting still. It is not just about observing thoughts. It is about cultivating a way of being that is infused with compassion, loving-kindness, and radical acceptance. Pema Chödrön, with her characteristic warmth and wisdom, guides us into the deeper layers of meditation, the place where we meet not just ourselves, but the entire world, with an open and tender heart. This is where meditation moves beyond a personal practice and becomes a way of life. A way of meeting everything, including suffering, including joy, including our own imperfections, with love. So let us step forward, not just as meditators, but as warriors of the heart. Let us embrace this final stage of our journey with courage, curiosity, and an unwavering commitment to awakening. Chapter 11. The Power of Compassion, Holding Ourselves and Others in Tenderness. Compassion. It is a word that is often spoken but rarely understood in its deepest form. Pema Chödrön invites us to see that true compassion begins with ourselves. How often do we sit in meditation and judge ourselves? I'm not doing this right. My mind is too noisy. I'll never be good at this. She urges us to let go of this harshness and instead practice radical self-compassion. To treat ourselves not as failures, but as human beings who are learning, growing, and doing the best they can. She introduces the idea of softening around our suffering. Instead of resisting pain, we hold it gently. We recognize that suffering is part of being human, and in doing so, we free ourselves from unnecessary struggle. And here's the most beautiful part. The more compassion we cultivate for ourselves, the more naturally it flows outward to others. Suddenly, we begin to see the suffering in those around us with new eyes. We realize that every single person we meet, is carrying some unseen burden. And instead of reacting with frustration or judgment, we meet them with understanding. This, she tells us, is how meditation transforms the world. By transforming the way we relate to ourselves, we change the way we relate to everyone. Chapter 12. Loving Kindness, a Practice for Opening the Heart. Now let us take compassion one step further, into the realm of loving kindness. Pema Chödrön introduces us to the ancient practice of metta-meditation, a technique that cultivates unconditional love, first for ourselves, then for others, and finally for the entire world. It begins with a simple phrase, "May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be free from suffering." At first, this may feel strange. Some of us may struggle to wish happiness upon ourselves. But with practice, something profound happens. Our hearts begin to soften. And then, we extend this same wish to someone we love. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be free from suffering. Then to a neutral person. Then even to someone we find difficult. And finally, to all beings everywhere. Loving kindness is not about forcing love where there is resentment or pain. It is about gently opening the heart, little by little, allowing warmth to replace coldness, connection to replace isolation. With time, this practice transforms how we see the world. No longer are we separate individuals locked in our own struggles. We are part of something greater, a vast web of life, all yearning for happiness, all worthy of love. Chapter 13. Letting Go, Freedom Through Non-Attachment. Letting go. The final and perhaps most liberating lesson of all. Pema Chödrön reminds us that meditation is not about clinging to peaceful states. It is not about achieving something and holding on to it forever. It is about allowing everything to arise and pass away. She introduces the concept of impermanence. Everything we experience, joy, sorrow, love, fear, is temporary. It comes and it goes. Our suffering, she explains, comes not from life's changes, but from our resistance to them. So, what does she invite us to do? To relax into the flow of life. To stop grasping at pleasure and stop resisting pain. To trust that we can handle whatever comes, because we are not these fleeting experiences, we are the vast awareness that holds them all. Letting go does not mean becoming indifferent. It means embracing life fully, without clinging. It means loving without attachment, experiencing without grasping, and living with the deep knowing that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Chapter 14: Meditation as a Way of Life, Taking Practice Beyond the Cushion. Now, my friends, we come to the final chapter, not the end, but a beginning. Pema Chödrön teaches that meditation is not something we do only when we sit on a cushion. It is a way of being in the world. Every moment is an opportunity to practice. When we are waiting in traffic, can we breathe and be present instead of growing impatient? When someone speaks to us with anger, can we respond with compassion instead of defensiveness? When life throws unexpected challenges our way, can we meet them with openness instead of resistance? She urges us to carry our meditation practice into our daily lives, not as a rigid discipline, but as a fluid, living experience. Because ultimately, meditation is not about escaping the world. It is about engaging with it fully, fearlessly, and with an open heart. Conclusion: the journey continues, becoming friends with your mind, your life, and the world. And so, my fellow seekers, we arrive at the closing words of this remarkable guide. Pema Chödrön has given us a gift, not just a method, not just a technique, but a way of seeing, a way of being. She has taught us that meditation is not about self-improvement. It is about self-acceptance. She has shown us that our minds, no matter how chaotic, are not enemies to be tamed. They are friends to be understood. She has reminded us that peace is not found in escaping our emotions, but in learning to sit with them, to hold them gently, to trust that we are strong enough to face whatever arises. And so, as we close this book, we do not end our practice. We continue it. We take our seat, again and again, with patience, with courage, with love. And in doing so, we discover something extraordinary, that everything we have been seeking, peace, love, wisdom, freedom, has been within us all along. Now go forth.
Sit, breathe, be.
The journey is yours. Thanks for listening to Book Buzz reviews and summaries. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new video updates.